Are you eager to learn about the market outlook and sustainability highlights in alternative investments? Come join us in hearing from investment experts across the field, all the way from real estate to infrastructure, forestry, and beyond. Stay tuned. In this episode, we will find out what the market outlook is for real estate investments. Together with me, I have Evli's own real estate expert, Heidi Tilli. Heidi has a long-standing background of over 20 years working with real estate investments and managing commercial real estate. So warmly welcome, Heidi.
Thank you.
Starting off with a question about last year's market turbulence. So how has this affected real estate investments?
As we all know, last year was extraordinary to many extent. First, we saw the inflation to rise to historical levels, and then interest rates to follow to levels that we were used to a decade ago or so. Research show that allocation to unlisted real estate stabilizes the investment portfolio, and this is exactly what we saw last year. So unlisted real estate did what it had promised.
Yeah.
And the first half of the year was very strong, but then during second half of the year, the market turbulence started catching up, and we saw 50 to 100 basic points increase in cap rates, which led to repricing of properties. But there was a softening effect to this repricing, and it was the 9% increase expected due to inflation to rents this January. And well, this is quite common if we look at real estate returns in Finland for a longer period of time on diversified basis. We don't see negative returns on annual basis. And this was the case also in financial crisis 2008. And that was much worse than the mild downturn expected to Finland this year.
And thinking about the future outlook then, how do you see the outlook for real estate investments?
Taking one step back, the fourth quarter of last year, we saw a significant drop down in transaction volumes in global scale. And I expect this to continue. And the repricing as well, the first half this year. But then moving to the second half, we might see the market picking up if the macroeconomical outlook gets better, meaning that we see the money market to stabilize, inflation back in control, and repricing of the properties is expected to be done already.
Makes sense. And then talking about rising inflation and expenses, does real estate work as an inflation hedge?
Good question. Yes, to some extent it does. However, each property is an individual, and therefore much generalization should not be done there. But I try still some. So in residential properties, we typically have short-term lease terms, and therefore it's not very easy to push through the indexations in very high inflation environments like this. But then going to the commercial properties, that can be done because we have longer lease terms in that side. But then it's good to understand also that in high inflation times, not all companies will survive it. So it's good to have a close eye on tenant quality.
And how would you advise one to invest in real estate? What should one consider?
Well, first of all, have an allocation to alternative investments, and then, of course, have real estate as part of that. Yeah. Then remember the time diversification, which is important in long-term investments such as real estate, and don't forget to diversify between property types, since that stabilizes the real estate portfolio itself. And then, because real estate is a long-term investment, think about and discuss with the fund manager about long-term trends such as aging population, renewable energy, urbanization, and specialized investment strategies that are resilient also in market downturns.
And given that the real estate and construction sectors contribute to a fair share of global emissions, so how to make sure that the property's environmental footprint is managed?
As a society, we simply cannot replace all our old buildings. It wouldn't be a very wise resource utilization. But we should take more transitional perspective on this, how to make our buildings more sustainable. But still, construction sector needs to also decarbonize themselves. And many of us in real estate sector, we already know what to do. We're in very fortunate position since we can do very concrete and tangible things in direct real estate investment. Whether it's the moving away from fossil energy usage in our energy procurement, or adding renewable energy into our buildings by adding solar energy, ground heat, or even wind power. And then also we can improve our properties by investing into better building automation, LED lighting, and more efficient heat recovery from ventilation, for example.
Great examples. And as an investor, how can you make sure that the properties are then sustainably managed?
First, when we acquire properties, we make quite extensive due diligence process where we hire third-party experts to run through the investments from governmental, tax, legal, environment, and energy efficiency point of view. And then we make this 10-year investment plan for the property, so that we can take into consideration all these investments already when we price the property. So much can and should be done already in this phase. But then moving to the ownership of the property, I mentioned a few practical examples already how to do it, but then how to organize it. One should have the plan and then periodically review it based on measurements and best practice of the market. In the fund that I manage, for example, we have ESG integrated in all what we do. So it's basically on all meeting agendas, whether it's a property manager meeting maintenance guy, or an asset manager having a lease update, or portfolio manager making investment proposal. It's there all the time. And it's not only because the market environment has changed, it's more that we as an investor, we want to have a good view on the end product, whether it's the property that we want to sell at some point, or the existing real estate portfolio in a 10 years time or so.
Yeah, great insights. So it seems that there are a lot of various ways for investors to actually develop sustainability in real estate.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Heidi, for the great insights on real estate investing. This is all for our part today. However, don't miss out on the rest of our Alternative Insights videos. So stay tuned. This is Evli.